Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news.
The African Democratic Congress ADC have sent a strong message to Bola Tinubu's government, revealing the untold truth in Dr. Ngozi Iweala's comment he made about the economy of Nigeria. Don't forget that fairly recently, Bola Tinubu played host to the W Trade Organization, that's WTO Director General Dr. Ngozi Iweala, who was one time Minister of Finance of Nigeria. And after all their deliberation, when she came out, she made some comments, and one of it was that the economy, that under Bola Tinubu, they have been able to stabilize the economy. She said a lot of other things, but guess what? The Bola Tinubu's government and his supporters kind of shelved everything that she said, ended up trashing all the data that have been presented by the National Bureau of Statistics. And everybody was just hampering on the comment made by the financial expert that if she has said that, it therefore means the economy is going well, whether the poor man has food to eat or not. The truth is that one person highly recommended globally has spoken the truth. But then it was a half-truth that they captured, because there were other things that she said afterwards. And that's exactly what ADC has been able to tell Bola Tinubu's government. You'll be shocked what they have under the sleeve for him. Now, let's dive into full details of what they have to tell Bola Tinubu. Now, according to the news, the African Democratic Congress ADC has urged President Bola Tinubu to focus on the overlooked aspect of Dr. Ngozi Iweala's recent assessment of Nigerian economy, accusing the federal government of cherry-picking her remarks for political gain. The party faulted the government for celebrating Dr. Okonjo Iweala's acknowledgement of economic stabilization while ignoring her call for measures to grow the economy, create jobs, and provide social safety nets for millions of struggling Nigerians. In a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC said that the selective celebration of the World Trade Organization Director General's comment shows a search for validation rather than a resolve to tackle economic challenges. According to him, he says Dr. Okonjo Iweala knows that a stable economy is one that is growing in real terms, led by jobs and productivity. She knows that a stable economy is one that is able to guarantee minimum standard of living for the people. What she really is saying, which the government has chosen to ignore, is that the economy is not growing, jobs are not being created, and too many people are suffering as a direct consequence of President Tinubu's ill-conceived and badly implemented reforms. The ADC cited key data to support its stance, noting that the GDP growth in Q1 of 2025 was 3.13% and barely above 3% in Q2. Figures, it said, fall short of the robust recovery promised by the administration. It also said that inflation stood at 22.22% in June 2025, with food inflation at 21.97%, while petrol sold for an average of 1,037 naira 66 kobo per liter, and the naira traded at about 1,530 naira to the dollar. According to him, he says that it is the Tinubu's administration policy choices, fuel subsidy removal, naira devaluation, tariff hike on electricity and transport that have triggered this distress and made social safety nets not optional but essential. Yet, these programs have either been administered haphazardly, suspended, or had negligible impact. The party also referred to Dr. Ngozi Iweala's social media clarification, stressing the need for urgent growth and job creation to ease hardship, where she said that at the same time it is necessary to start working on growing the economy to create more jobs and put money in people's pocket. The ADC warned that celebrating superficial stability risks distracting from the need for urgent action. The need for urgent action. And I must say that this is one thing that had put our country in a very, very dicey situation. the ADC also said that every well-meaning Nigerian knows that celebrating the mere appearance of stability is pyrrhic. The ADC strongly believes that such candor from a global economic leader like Dr. Okonjo Iweala underscored an urgent need for federal government policy that goes beyond rhetoric and propaganda but address the daily harsh reality of millions of Nigerians under the APC government. That was the standpoint of the ADC via the Office of the Publicity Secretary, talking about Malam Balaji Abdullahi. And what really got me was the fact that unfortunately, the federal government seems to be celebrating themselves based on that statement, but refuses to look at the situation of things as it has to do with Nigerians. As much as she has a lot of things to say about the stability of the economy of the country and how the reforms of Bola Tinubu is working out a great deal, I think the most important part of it should be for the government also to step into the streets and ask Nigerians questions about how they feel, what their standard of living is like. Because unfortunately, the standard of living of Nigerians seems to diminish almost on a daily basis. It's nothing to write home right now. You can barely see people who eat 3 square meals as it should be expected, Nothing seems to work the way Nigerians feel it should, because at the end of the day, we are meant to provide the required things that will change the narrative for the Nigerian people. And if you're unable to do that, unfortunately, it clearly shows that you have not touched the main fabrics of Nigerian, which is, their belly. So I love the fact that ADC was able to capture that truth and send it across to Bola Tinubu for them to reconsider it. Because as much as they talk about stability in the economy, there are key indices that we should look at that guarantees growth in the economy. One of it is the extent of job creation. Number 2, how much export do we have as a country? I'm talking about proceeds from export. How much of it do we have, whereby it has guaranteed a stability in our naira-dollar exchange rate? We do not have. Interestingly, we have to be clear about this, because I think those are the data that should be looked into. What Nigerians are leveraging on that had brought about stability in our foreign exchange earning is actually the loans that are coming in. Whether it is via the sales of bond, because I know that a lot of Nigerians who are outside the country are helping to buy government bond, at least to enable stability in Nigerians' economy. And we know what bonds are. They are, annual or biannual, acknowledgement of debts, which the government are selling out. They are getting money from the people, giving them an acknowledgement that we are owing you this amount of money, and interest will be paid at the end of the day. Now, the big question is, what is that particular money raised via government bonds and treasury bills? What are they actually being used for? These are some of the questions that we need to look into. The standard of living of the people is of utmost importance. How much wealth are the people creating? How much comfort, material goods, and necessities of certain classes in certain area? How much are people? What is the assessment of the economy? I think that should be the area that we should be more emphatic on, because unfortunately, those things are not what it should be. Ordinarily, if you step into the platform, I'm talking about stepping into all cadres of life in Nigeria and begin to ask questions. You can start from the high class. Ask them questions. How far the economy? Go down to those at the lower place. As we are talking right now, let's be clear about this. The government has been able to shoot the salary structure. That's I'm talking about money people are earning averagely to 70,000 naira. And then I want to ask you one simple question, so that for those who are supporters of Bola Tinubu and all of that, how much is housing in your area? How much is 3-bedroom flat, 2-bedroom flat, or even 1-bedroom flat, self-contained? How much is it? Let's talk about the transportation system. I mean, a lot of things that okay, let's forget about transport. A lot of people stay in very short distance places, or they do dealings in short distance places. Let's look at the issue of food, prices of food across board. How far? It's not easy. So I think that the lady talking about, she was coming from a perspective that will give the presidency that mindset that his reforms is actually working, but then they need to do better. That is where she was coming from, talking about Dr. Okonjo Iweala. But the real truth is that the president needs to make sure that proper supervision is carried out, as it has to do with the social safety nets that she talked about. Because for the student, NEL Fund is there and it's really helping out a great deal, you understand? But then, how about for the very poor? How much money has been pushed to the hands of the very poor across board? What has done to bring down the cost of living in Nigeria? These are some of the things we need to look at.